Welcome back, everyone, to our Tuesday trainings. Now, this is a bit of a special edition because it's not a live Tuesday training. It's actually 5 a.m. over here in Queensland. And for John, is it 8 p.m., just after 8 your time?
8 p.m. Yep, that's it.
8 p.m. Awesome. So John is obviously over in the UK, which you might be able to grab from his accent. But I'm super excited to be doing this interview. And one of the things that I really love about meeting people in the online space is that we can do this worldwide now. And this is a really fun piece because I can interview and talk to people all over the world. So John has a really fascinating story, and I thought that his business would be really relevant to everyone who is in this Facebook group. So I'm excited for you to get to learn a bit more about what John does. But as you all know, we're going to dig into some of the little secrety stuff around sales and selling and how we feel about sales and selling as well. So that's going to be fun. But without further ado, I'd love to hand you over to John to do a bit of an introduction of himself and tell you a little bit about himself. And I'd love for you to tell us, John, how did you get started in the business?
Yeah, thanks so much, Julia. So my name's John Alexander. As Julia said, I live just north of London in the UK with my wife and 3 boys. So yeah, my job title that I call myself is the tech wizard for coaches. I'm not exactly sure how the title tech wizard came about. I think it's actually from one of my previous clients. He referred to me as her tech wizard, and the name kind of stuck, actually.
I love it.
I quite like
I love it. It's so
cool. But yeah, in terms of how I got started in my business, so I actually have a career of about 15 years before this in process improvement. So I'm quite a logical systemsy, processy type of person. So spend a lot of time helping businesses improve the way they work. People work more efficiently, save time, save money. But I always had this dream of having my own business. And it really took probably a decade of doing different ideas, trying to come up with what the thing was that my business was going to be. And do you know what? In the end, it just ended up being, let's just jump in and try something and see. So I started doing a bit of copywriting, and that led me to working into the coaching industry, which I wasn't really that aware of beforehand. Worked with some really great coaches as a sales closer, appointment setter type role. And then yeah, the idea kind of crystallized into, do you know what? I love systems. I'm passionate about technology. So actually, with a lot of the conversations I'm having with people, that's a problem they're highlighting. So why not have my business to do what I love doing? So yeah, that's where I ended up being where I am.
So good. I love that journey. And I think I find that a lot of people that I speak to have that similar, I've been thinking about it for a while and I've been mulling over all of these ideas, but then I love that piece of just jumping into it. And I think that's the real courage and the real bravery of business, right? It's about going, you know what, this is what I love doing. And here I've found a gap in the market. So, why don't we just jump into it and see how things go? So I applaud your courage for jumping into it and doing that, because it's not something that everyone has that courage to do. Some people are really happy just to stay in the job and stay in that space, in that comfort zone, I guess. But, having the courage to step out of the comfort zone means that you get to serve more and more people and get to do what you love. And I think, especially when you've got kiddos, it's a really nice space of showing them that you can go and do what you want and what you love to do in this world. So very cool.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. And, in the process world, we have a lot of, the mantra is implement and test. So actually jumping in and doing the business and seeing if it works. If it doesn't work, then you found something that, you can use as feedback to improve for next time. So it's, that's been a really good thing. And, yeah, as you say, it's great to be able to spend more time with my kids by being a business owner, but yeah, B, as you say, be able to chase their dreams and do what they want to do. That's definitely something I wanted to instill in them. So
yes, I love that. And I love this idea of instill and test. I think that's such a great, it's even a great motto in sales, right? Because the truth is we don't know what's going to work. I mean, we can use tried and tested sales structures and strategies, but the truth is we're all human, and sometimes you've got to tweak everything and tweak things as you go. So I love that idea of kind of, throw it out there and test and measure it and see what happens. It's such a great motto to live by. And tell me about this, because I didn't know this before, but so you worked as an appointment setter and a closer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it was through a coach that I was working with, as in I was on his course. He's a copywriting coach, who teaches kind of outreach methods. But as it happened, someone else in that program ran an appointment setting agency. So yeah, joined the team, and it was really helpful because it introduced me to the world of coaching, as I said. But B, I just got to have so many great conversations with different people, and really get a handle for the kind of struggles that people who are trying to run a coaching business have. And yeah, you're going to ask about it in a minute, but it really helped to me to change my mind on what sales was.
Yeah, that's a big one. I love that. Okay, so let me dig into this then. So I guess my first question, the salesy part of it, is how do you feel about making your first sale? So it's one thing to sell other people's products and services, and I often say this because, give me your stuff and I can sell till the cows come home. But when I first started my business, I had to have that enthusiasm, excitement, and kind of confidence around my own products and services. And that was really tough for me. So how did you feel about making your first sale for you in the business?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. When it's someone else's product or service, it's a lot easier in some ways because the pressure's kind of off, I guess. But yeah, it was a really nerve-wracking experience being on my very first sales call. That said, actually my first sale, the sales cycle time was probably around I don't think it was as long as 3 months, but it was probably 2.5 months. So it was someone that I took the time to build a relationship with, and actually they were actually related to the person I was appointment setting for. But long story short, they came to me because I could help. But actually on that sales call, it was really, really scary to throw out my figure for what I wanted to charge for my service. So my package is a high ticket package, because of the value that I believe in, that I'm delivering. But actually saying those numbers out loud is quite a scary thing to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and how did it feel to actually get the sale? Massive relief. Actually being completely honest, that someone signed up. That said, the fact that I'd built the relationship with the person beforehand, I actually had a level of confidence going into the call that they weren't going to blindside me with a no. Because all of the conversations up to that point had been really positive, and along the lines of, I'm really excited to be, to what we're going to be doing together, etc., etc. So it would have been perhaps a bit disappointing to be on the call and then she say no. But yeah, it getting that very first sale, it is, a real weight off your back. Yeah, it's a palpable change in the way you feel about sales.
Yeah, 100%. It is. And I think like some of those pieces are such a relief. And I just want to explain for everyone, because you mentioned the word a longer sales cycle. So for everyone who's not familiar with that terminology, a sales cycle just means how long we nurture someone for before they close. So for lower ticket products, whether it's if you've got products that you're selling perhaps, and sometimes we do have a longer sales cycle. To be honest with you, I think in the online space, there's probably a longer sales cycle, even for people in the e-commerce world. Often people have to see your things time and time again before they even make a purchase. So that's what we would call a sales cycle. In the service-based industry, it's, how many touch points do we have before we get that opportunity to close a sale? And that's what we would call a sales cycle. So I love that you're also starting to think about this, because once you can start to get a picture, and this is for everyone who's listening to this, once you can start to get a picture of how long your sales cycle is, is and what are those touch points in between, we can just start to rinse and repeat. So, we don't get into this mindset of, well, I'm going to have one call with someone and I've got to close them into a high ticket sale. We know that we need to have multiple conversations and multiple, pieces and elements before we close that sale. So, I think that your experience, obviously, in that appointment setting has really set you up well to understand that process. So that's pretty cool too. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So tell me, I think the first sale is always the most amazing one, but then there's the piece of, oh my goodness, now we've got to keep this going, right? We've started the wheels in motion and now we've got to keep it going. So did you have any limiting beliefs around sales and selling, even as you started to grow and scale the business?
Yeah, and I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. So actually, before I went into the coaching course that I mentioned with the copywriter, my idea of sales was that when you say the word sales, it conjures the image of the kind of sleazy salesman that's trying to sell you something you don't need, or it's almost like a trick. Like, they're going to take you through this sales pitch and you're going to be tricked out of your money to buy something you don't really need, and then you're going to regret it afterwards. That was really how I felt about sales before. And I mentioned it when I was saying about being an appointment setter. At the beginning of doing that role, I was probably feeling like I had to sort of mimic that type of mindset. And actually, from having those conversations that I mentioned before, it really became clear that selling isn't really the main part of what we're trying to do. Actually, you're having a really honest and open conversation with someone to understand what their problem is and understand what it is that's holding them back from achieving what they want to do in their life. So the people I was talking to were coaches. They were looking to start off their business, and get their first few clients. What are the things that are holding them back? And actually, by having those conversations and understanding, some of those people weren't people that we could help. Some of those people were people we could help, and then they were the people that we took forward I took forward for conversations to talk about whether the program itself was something that was for them. And really that's the crux of how I feel about sales right now, is that it's all about building relationships and having just really open conversations with people. There's going to be people you can help, there's going to be people you can't help, and there's going to be people that you can help maybe in the future. But the fact is that building those relationships over a longer time is much more valuable.
Yes, I love that. And I think that this is such an important piece for everyone to really kind of understand. And I think that number one is, where you mentioned about, we don't want to feel sales and we don't want to feel pushy and we don't want to be those sort of people who are coercing someone into doing something against their will or something that they don't need. And unfortunately, it's a lot of those thoughts and ideas that really hold people back from the sales and the selling, and certainly from building those relationships, I think, as well, because I think, well, if I'm not good enough to close someone in one sale, then, I'll forget about them and I won't talk to them again. But I think that piece of really building that relationship and figuring out how you're going to build, like really putting some conscious thought into how you're going to build that relationship is such an important piece. But I really love this because you've kind of taken what was maybe a limiting belief or some icky thoughts around sales and selling, and you've created your own mindset around it, which, as you said, is truly about, if we're really selling from our heart, it's really selling it's just serving people. It's really, and I think the piece that I really like, because I heard this somewhere else recently, was really understanding their problems, really understanding what someone's problem is. And it's often not that surface line piece. It's not, like you said, it's not copywriting. That's not their problem. Their problem is not how we get the copy out. It's all the beliefs that sit below that. It's all the things that are holding them back from actually getting the business started and actually getting the copy out. And so that's a great answer. I really love that. And thank you for sharing, because I think that will be really valuable for everyone. And it's a big piece of what we work on, is really shifting that mindset and how we do that. And I love that you've been able to do that on your own through this process. It's very cool. All
Thank
right,
you.
enough of my salesy questions for you. So I'd love for you to tell everyone, tell us a little bit, about what you do, how you help people, how you work people and with people, and also how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was just one thing I wanted to add actually about there are kind of limiting beliefs, and it links to what I do. In that, it's one thing understanding people's problems, but also having a real clear idea of what your own offer is really, really really, really important. And in terms of being really aligned to that as well.
Yes.
So I mentioned that my journey has been one of implement and test, and it's
Mm.
taken a long time for my ideas to crystallize into the things that I'm really confident in. I know that I'm helping and able to deliver a solution to the people I'm talking to. So
Yes.
yeah, you're really having those, both sides is super important.
But I love
Um,
that through this, though, you've also spent the time to really listen to people. And once you've listened, then you've been able to crystallize your ideas of what you needed to deliver. Because I think that's a piece that often people do the other way. They create the program they think their clients want and then figure
yeah.
out they can't actually sell it because it's not what their problems are and not what they need, where you kind of reverse engineered it and you've had those conversations and built that relationship and found out what are the true problems and then crystallized and kind of made your programs around that. So I think it's a great way to almost flip the script around.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. And in actual fact, that is more or less what my business is all about. Actually, so um, my main program is called the Rise Formula, and it's all around, essentially it's a business in a box package for people who are looking to start a coaching business. So I mentioned offer before, and that's actually where we start. So looking at really helping define and build your offer, and making sure that it's aligned with, your skill set, the kind of people that you're looking to work with, really dialing into who that niche is, who's that ideal client that you can help. Because that's a really important foundation to have in place before you build your coaching business, as you just said, Julia. Um, and then, I said at the beginning, my passion is all around systems and process. So that's a really big part of it. And actually, a lot of the conversations I have with coaches is a lot of them don't like systems and tech. In fact, a lot of coaches have an active hatred for that side of things.
Yeah,
So
that was me in the beginning, definitely.
so being able to provide a done for you solution in terms of the actual inner workings of the business, so your calendar, your customer database, your website, sales pages, all of that stuff, we take care of that for you, and set it all up on your behalf. And we actually have also, and I'll talk about it in a bit more detail in a minute, but we've also got some marketing tools as well, which we give access to people in the program, which uses AI.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that in a second, because that's really exciting.
Yeah.
And then we also help them with the sales side, as in giving them support in terms of how to approach prospects, how to start off those kind of nurturing conversations, really whatever support people need. Because again, a lot of people that have a heart for becoming a coach, they really want to help people, but they don't necessarily have the business or the sales side of their character.
Right.
They're not experts at that, so that that's really where the business comes in, is that we help them to get there. And as part of the program, we help them sign their first or next 5 clients as part of the package.
Oh, that's
So
really cool. I love that.
so that's the Rise Formula. And then alongside that, I mentioned my AI platform. So my business partner and I have spent the last probably three months developing a platform which uses AI to create marketing content. And of course, anyone could go onto ChatGPT, and if generate content from there. But actually what this platform's doing is it brings it all together. First of all, that you've got the research phase. So you're using AI to come up with headlines, really identify what the pain points of your target market are. What are the kind of knowledge gaps? What are the statements that are really going to resonate with your target audience? So it's doing essentially lots of prompts into ChatGPT to come up with those. And then we're using those prompts to actually create content for all of your social channels. So that's everything from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, blog, email, Pinterest.
You're scaring me. It's
Yeah.
so funny.
So
That's
and the AI,
awesome.
and it's creating that for a 7-day content funnel
Yeah.
on all of those channels, and it's creating the same message, but it's changing the format of it for those different channels so that it's going to
Right.
resonate with different audiences. So all of that to say is that it's around really maximizing your reach, but also giving you as much traction as possible in terms of sharing your message and your offer as widely as possible, essentially. So yeah, really excited about that.
That's so exciting. That would take so much time off people's hands, because I reckon that's one of the biggest struggles in business, is really knowing that we've got to be on all of these social channels, but it's so hard to be able to, create that individual content. I think I sat with my VA the other day and we did 4 posts and it took me an hour. I was like, oh my goodness, this is painful.
Yeah, exactly.
That
So,
sounds awesome.
with the tool, with all of that content, it brings the whole process down to about 2 hours per week, 2 to 3 hours per week for
Amazing.
7 days worth of content, which is awesome. And then finally, just in terms of people that might have or might want a little bit more info in terms of systems and tech, because as I say, that is something that I recognize that a lot of coaches, it can sound a bit like gobbledygook to them. So what I've written is a shortish guide, which is called Business Tech for Non-Techie Coaches. So it just breaks the whole thing down. So you've probably heard lots of different terms like sales. I probably said them myself on this call, so apologies, like sales funnel and CRM and all kinds of things like that. We break those terms down into what they actually mean in plain English.
Yeah.
And give you some examples of the different different systems platforms that you can buy to achieve that goal. And essentially the guide is around telling you what the system does and how you can get that in for your business and why you need it, essentially. So yeah.
Amazing. Oh, that is so cool. What an amazing resource for everyone, because I think that, like you said, when you first start out, all of those pieces are really challenging. Like, I guess I knew some of that technology because I came from a sales world. So I've spent years in different CRMs. So, which is, of course, is our customer relationship management system, or whatever the M stands for at the end of it. And it's something that I was really familiar with, but I imagine that a lot of people starting out in business just don't know, all of those pieces and all of that terminology. So that's an amazing resource. Thank you for sharing that one. That's really cool. And I wanted to say to everyone too, I think, if you're listening to this and you are in those early days in the business, I really truly believe in, and one of my coaches said this to me in the early days too. She said, if you really back yourself, this is an essential piece that you have to invest in. If you really back yourself as a coach and you want to take your business to the next level, having your systems built out for you, knowing what your offer is, knowing how to do or how to get help from the AI with the marketing pieces, and even the sales piece, getting that help from John with the sales piece of getting those first 5 clients over the line is absolutely amazing. And I think that investing in that truly means that you can then be able to serve more people. And I think this is a thing sometimes, when we start out in business, we think, even if I could just get 5 or 10 or 15 clients. But the truth is, if you're only getting 5 or 10 or 15 clients, that's all you're serving, when your capacity is probably to serve, and your potential is to serve so many more. And when you've got the systems in place, it makes it so much easier to be able to scale. And whether that means that you scale into working with groups of people, or it just means that, you know, you've got your emails that are going out and you can manage that pipeline of people and clients that are coming into the business. So I think that investing in the early days in getting all of these pieces right is so important. And, you know, I can tell you, I invested thousands of dollars in trying to kind of band-aid pieces together and figure things out for myself. And it was such a waste of money. You know, I think, now I'm really grateful that I did. I invested a lot of money in having a great system set up for me. But I think for everyone in business, if the sooner you can do that, the sooner you can really start playing in your lane. You know, you don't spend half of your day trying to figure out the techie pieces and figure out, you know, all those pieces that you're not good at. You get to then get it all done. It sounds like, you know, John gets it all sorted for you, and you do the done for you, so that as a coach, you can play in your lane and do what you really love and be in front of more clients. So amazing. Oh, I'm super excited. So thank you. I wanted to, you know, really honor your time. I appreciate that it's the evening for you. You've had a long day and you've got the 3 kiddos who are probably trying to get to bed. So I really appreciate your time today. It's been lots of fun having a chat to you. And if anyone wants to reach out to John, we will make sure that we've got all of your handles in the comments, and for the resource that you want to share with everyone, then we'll make sure that we put those in the comments as well. But do make sure you jump out and also follow John on all of the social media platforms. Where are the best ones for people to follow you?
Yeah, so right now I am mostly focused on Facebook, but I am on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. So
Amazing.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I look forward to following you too. And I look forward to, over the years, having lots of more conversations, because this was really fun. And I really encourage anyone who is, you know, thinking about what that next level looks like in the business and how they're going to grow and scale it. And if you're not a really techie person, reach out to John and have a conversation, you know, at the very least, around what it is that you need, and see if his services are something that are going to be able to help you to take the business to that next level. Awesome, team. All right. Well, it's been lots of fun, and we are going to sign off, and I will talk to everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.